Welcome to the Hand in Hand virtual event. The reason that I was so excited to be here is I love the work that Hand in Hand does. And not only that, they continue to grow. They continue to look for what the needs in the community are, and they work towards filling in the gap, not reinventing the wheel, just filling in the gap. And one of the things that really touched my heart when I first heard about them was I'm a grandma of three now adopted foster kids. And when kids come into foster care, you may have heard this, but often they come with a big black garbage bag. They're told to get their stuff, and they go into the safe house and they get loved on. They maybe get to go to the zoo or get to go somewhere. They get to hang out with staff, make cookies, have fun, and they get toiletries. They get a backpack. Like, talk about dignity. They give them something that they can be proud of, and they leave with some sort of stuffed animal. And so that transition from coming out of their own homes, which is so traumatic, and then going into foster care is so much better because of the work they do. And that's just one of the things that Hand in Hand does. When I was running Esther's place, often the women needed food, and they go to Hand in Hand and they give them boxes of food. And so it's just such an amazing organization. So throughout this hour, you're going to see some trivia questions and a prompt to answer in the chat. So please participate in this fun activity, because 2 lucky winners are going to get a breakfast on us. So I apologize for that. I just kind of lost my screen. There we go. We're going to introduce to you. The next section is we are pleased to introduce Jordana Halkett and Carrie Campbell, and they're with us this morning. You can see they're together. Joanna is executive director for Hand in Hand, and Carrie is the board president. So thank you for joining us today, ladies. It's so good to have you here.
Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
My pleasure. I thought we'd walk through a few questions. So let's, I also work at Warm 106.9, and I do a lot of interviewing for nonprofits. And I love this question. How did each of you get involved in Hand in Hand?
Thanks for being with us, Laurie, and thanks for that great question. I started my journey with Hand in Hand at Safe Place. I was a volunteer, and from Safe Place, I did some volunteering with our outreach program, and I just fell in love with the Hand in Hand community and all the volunteers and the staff that I worked with. It was just really it really fulfilled a need that I had to give back to my community and work in that way. And from there, I just discovered that they were going to be needing an executive director, and I went down that path, and here I am.
And we're so glad she is here. And it was such a great find to find someone who had a previous connection with Hand in Hand and a previous love for the work that Hand in Hand does. And my journey was a little bit more simple. I showed up at a fundraiser, my husband and I, for Hand in Hand. He was aware of it through the Everett community. And it was just apparent immediately that this was an organization that was authentic, that cared about the community they were in. And so after leaving the fundraiser, I just asked myself, how can I help? And got in touch with Hand in Hand and with the founder, Todd McNeil. And as it turned out, they need a little help on their board. So I was happy to plug in with that, and really have met such amazing people through working on the board and through my exposure with Hand in Hand. It's been fantastic.
So now we know what brought you here. What is it that compels you to do this work?
You know, that's an interesting question. I think, I've been thinking about that a lot. Sometimes you just kind of fall into things and it's not intentional, and you just, before you know it, you find yourself somewhere. But I think for me, it was intentional. All of us have a choice on where we want to spend our time, put our resources, put our efforts and attention. And it just seems, especially in the last few years, that you kind of feel out of control of what's going on. But, intentionally choosing where you want to be and put that time is what I just felt like I want to be in an organization, part of an organization that is part of this community, that really makes a direct impact and is collaborative. And it is a compelling place to be for all of those reasons, and so many more that you're going to hear about today.
Yeah. I would say what compels me is that I have always been an advocate for children and families in a different role than this, but I've always been really behind kids and families and helping them thrive. And so what I realize, what I know is that the needs in our community are great, and they are not going to go away anytime soon. And so what compels me is the opportunity to demonstrate my love for people through action, through providing services to people, to love the children and families that we come in contact with. So it's really, it's putting my value of serving our community and the needs within our community in very real and tangible ways. And it is a privilege to do that.
I love how you guys so often say love in action. Love in action. That just sticks with me. So what do people need to know about Hand in Hand?
A lot of things, I think. But I think one thing that I think people need to know, people are attracted to Hand in Hand, and we're really well known for Safe Place, and as we should be. It is a one-of-a-kind, top-notch program for kids, and it's something that Hand in Hand has pioneered and does really, really well. And I think people also need to know that we are involved in the community in so many different ways. And I think that that's important in preventative ways, through programs in the schools and the grade schools and the middle schools, also through the soccer program and the partnership with Everett Youth Soccer, rental assistance, food boxes, the list goes on, and all of it geared towards children, geared toward families, geared toward, preventing things. And really the second thing, if I can have two things, the second thing I think they need to know is that the reason that we can do all this great work is because of our volunteers. And I think oftentimes volunteers are in the shadows, and I just really need people to know that we have an amazing core of volunteers, and it's not easy work. If you're talking about Safe Place, it is equal parts heartbreaking and rewarding and hard. And so I think, just a shout out to all the volunteers that help us run what we do what we do, keep our costs down, and do what we can do in the community.
Let's see. There are many things that I think people need to know about Hand in Hand, but the very first thing I want to talk about is the incredible staff that work so tirelessly to meet the needs of our community. And here is the passion and the drive to just serve and love people. And this is my favorite part about this staff, is they're working always to this end. How can we give a yes to the people that we serve? How can we say yes? How can we serve them? And if we can't do it, how can we point them to a resource that people need in our greater community? So we're always looking for that yes. How can we help? How can we step in? So the staff and their passion and their commitment to that, I really hope everybody understands that, because that's really the heartbeat of this place. The other thing is just the whole sense of community. So Hand in Hand has a very strong community, not just the staff, the volunteers that Carrie was mentioning, the donors, obviously the people that we serve, our community partners. It's everybody working together. We have some really significant community partners that help us do the work that we do. And without them, we'd struggle in some areas. So it's really just that whole sense of community and everybody being behind the mission and the purpose of what we do. I can't stress that enough. It's really remarkable.
I think we really learned the value of community after going through COVID, didn't we?
Yes, absolutely.
What's your favorite thing about Hand in Hand, if you had to pick something? And you can pick two if you need to.
What's my favorite thing?
What's your favorite?
My favorite thing, there are so many. I guess this is what I'm going to say. I get up every morning and I consider it a privilege to come here and work with this staff to do the work that we're doing. It is exciting for me. I like the people that I work with. I like that enthusiasm and passion and that question that is always on our minds. How can we do this even better? How can we serve more people? It is really that I just love that. I love the people that I work with and how dedicated and committed they are to living out our mission. It's exciting every day. What about you, Carrie?
Well, I would say if I had to pick one, and of course you could pick a whole bunch here. I really like how Hand in Hand is flexible. And by that, I mean, you mentioned COVID, Laurie. During COVID, Hand in Hand stayed open the entire time. A lot of human resources organizations just couldn't do that. But because of the staff that we have, because of the grassroots nature of it, you're able to pivot and just meet the needs and in a really flexible and meaningful way and make sure that the people that needed help during COVID and after COVID were able to get that. And so I think that just kind of that flexibility, which goes with that can-do attitude that Jordana was talking about. I just think that is one of my favorite things.
You know, it makes me think about how with COVID and how people had to pivot, how important the vision is, and you're on the board, and the vision for Hand in Hand. I mean, you've been around for so long, but your vision is that you intend to be around forever, which brings me to my next question. What are you excited about for the future?
Yeah, I am excited about all of the ways that we can continue to deliver services to the people in our community, and find more ways and better ways to reach more people. So we ask ourselves that question all the time. What are we doing? How can we do it better? How can we reach more people? How can we strengthen our partnerships in the community? How can we get to know the people in our community and know what their needs are so that we're stepping in a really authentic way? So we have some thoughts and some plans regarding Safe Place and how we can build on that legacy. We have outreach ideas for reaching more kids in our community. I'm excited because we're not ready to just sit back and do it the way we've always done. We are ready to say, what's the need? How can we meet it? And everybody's ready and on board. And I'm very excited about the future.
I'm excited about the future too. And a lot of it is sitting right next to me. The reason for the excitement, we have great leadership in place and building on the history of great leaders of Hand in Hand, and having Jordana here in place with vision, enthusiasm, excitement, and the team that she has built around her I am really confident and really excited that, we don't know what the future holds, right? If anything, the last few years have taught us that, but I am confident whatever the need is, whatever comes up in the future, that we have the team in place between Jordana, the staff, the volunteers, incredibly strong board. We have the team in place to meet whatever comes up. So that to me is really exciting.
Awesome. Well, it's been so fun to see the chats. I see my friend Kira is here, and April and Mikola. So when you drop stuff in the chat for us, we get to see actually who's here. And which brings me to our next part. We're going to start with one of our trivia questions. So let's have some fun with this. Be sure and throw it in the chat so we can see what your answers are. And if everybody participates, remember you get a free breakfast for 2 people. So why don't you go ahead and show us those trivias?
Hi, I'm Brenna.
And I'm Portia.
Welcome to Hand in Hand Trivia.
Yeah, I think we're going to do another one. There we go.
In 2015, Hand in Hand formalized its outreach program. What was its first name?
Leave your guess in the chat.
Okay. And I think maybe we're going to do one more. Okay. There we go.
We're going to share a little bit about our outreach program next.
We can't hear that, Joy. We can read it though.
Decidí venir y ya después de ahí mi manager Portia Thompson hizo un post en Facebook que ella quería hacer un comité para voluntarios y entonces yo me anoté porque la verdad a mí me gusta mucho ayudar a la gente. Sí, que la verdad que luchen por sus sueños. Yo la verdad nunca me imaginé trabajar para alguna organización así. Estoy la verdad muy feliz porque a mí me encanta cómo la gente viene y confía en nosotros más que nada, porque de eso se trata, que haya comunicación entre el cliente y nosotros para poder ayudarlos.
Okay. I think I'm not sure. We do have more trivia, but I think we'll just go into the next section here.
I'm going to go ahead and share a couple more trivia.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Joy.
All right, our next trivia question is, what country consumes the most eggs per year?
Don't forget to leave your answer in the chat.
Awesome. And I see some more of the people in the chat. I see Heather. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Volunteers are the primary reason that Hand in Hand is able to operate Safe Place and do the work of helping children. So when they're in these vulnerable places, it's a pleasure to introduce one of those wonderful volunteers, Deanne Willis.
Well, thank you. I'm super excited to talk about my time at Safe Place. I began volunteering in the fall of 2019, and I love being part of this special place. First of all, you never know what you will find when you open the front door. There might be a child so excited to play with you that she's banging on the window to get your attention as she sees you coming down the sidewalk. Or you might be greeted by a set of shy siblings who are hoping you will find just the right activity to coax them into some fun. or a baby who is ready to be rocked, cuddled, and maybe enticed to smile or giggle. It's gratifying to see the kids experience joy and belonging at Safe Place. We filled one December day with making cookies and a gingerbread house with an 11-year-old boy, and he asked us, "Why is everyone here so nice to me?" And we told him, "Because you are such a cool kid." Another guest so enjoyed her stay that when we told her that her social worker was coming to pick her up, she spent several minutes saying a personal, heartfelt goodbye to each of the toys that she had enjoyed, and asked if we would help her make notes for the other staff and volunteers she had met, so she could tell them how much she would miss them. "Especially the night people," she said. "Tell them I said goodbye." I'm also amazed at the relationships that develop between kids of different families who happen to be staying at Safe Place at the same time. Whether it's preteen girls painting each other's nails, or small kids playing restaurant with the toy kitchen, a very popular activity, or two girls who decide to call each other cousin for the week. It's fun to see the kids interacting with others in a relaxed and carefree environment. One elementary-aged girl had so much fun mothering a toddler boy who was also a guest that week, that when she was gifted a stuffed animal to take home, she wanted to re-gift it to him, saying, "It will help him feel happy." Safe Place isn't a permanent place, but it's a little pit stop between one situation and another. Children enter after experiencing a really hard day. They bring with them their burdens and all their worldly belongings, which are sometimes carried in a small garbage bag. The kids leave with lovingly hand-sewn bags and new backpacks filled with several changes of clothes, a toy, a handmade quilt, and a just right book. But it's the mission of the staff and volunteers to see that they're also able to tuck in a few happy, life-giving, fun childhood memories to help sustain them in days to come.
Thank you, Deanne. And I got goosebumps. And you so described it earlier when you said it's equal parts heart-wrenching and rewarding. And so thank you for the work you do. It's so important. We're going to move on to another trivia question.
Our next trivia question is, what year was Hand in Hand founded?
Make sure to participate because 2 lucky winners will be chosen at random.
Don't they just look sassy? Okay, and then we're going to listen to our community partners, Kurt and Craig Campbell.
How much does the average family spend on diapers per year? To participate, leave your answers in the chat.
And fun fact, Hand in Hand provided 64,200 diapers to families in 2022.
Now we're going to hear a video from Kurt and Craig Campbell. Be sure and drop your answers in the chat.
I'm Kurt Campbell.
And I'm Craig Campbell.
And we both are in love with the work of Hand in Hand. They take care of some of the most vulnerable people in our community, and wonderful people that do a wonderful job. It's been a great partnership with our company.
Yeah, it's fun to give back, and I would say, you know, being a car dealer, there's a lot of things going on where you can help customers obviously find cars and service their cars, but we want to be a lot bigger than just a car dealer, and part of that is partnering in the community. And when we learned what Hand in Hand done several years ago, it's been quite a while now, we just fell in love with being able to help the kids and that whole process and everything that Hand in Hand has done.
So thank you, Hand in Hand.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Thank you, Kurt and Craig. That is so awesome. You have such great community partners. We're going to have another trivia video.
What country consumes the most cereal per person?
Snap, crackle, pop. Winners will be chosen at the end of this virtual breakfast.
So drop your answers in the chat. And I think we're going to move on to our why video.
How many kids were able to play soccer in 2022 with the help of Hand in Hand scholarships?
That's great. As a single mom, I sure appreciated sports scholarships when my kids were growing up.
Thanks so much for participating.
You're great.
I love it.
We truly believe that stories are what brings us together. Over the past several years, we've had the opportunity to hear from different families about how Hand in Hand has impacted them. This time around, I'm super excited to bring you into the office with us to really hear about the why from our staff. You know, why do they choose to come to work day in, day out?
My name is Debbie and I am an outreach coordinator at Hand in Hand. My name is Brenna Ramos and I am the Director of Children and Family Services with Hand in Hand.
My name is Portia Thompson and I'm the Outreach Program Manager.
Why I chose to work for Hand in Hand was to make an impact in the community, specifically the Everett community where I grew up. I feel like we make a direct impact not only with the people we serve, but through our outreach program. Hand in Hand has always felt like my home away from home. I really love the culture here.
My favorite thing about Hand in Hand is it feels like home. I would continue to choose to work at Hand in Hand even if I wasn't getting paid because I'm passionate about doing community with my community.
Growing up in Everett, I always wanted somebody to represent me, and I feel like working at Hand in Hand, I am able to do that. I feel really strongly about being a part of the community in order to serve that community, and I feel like that's what Hand in Hand does really well at.
Hand in Hand does community really, really well. It's definitely deeply rooted to do with and not to people. Every person that has worked here in the past or works here now has a deep sense of commitment to community.
Why I like to work at Hand in Hand is through the many opportunities that it offers. For example, we do a lot of things with clubs for the middle schoolers, the elementary kids. We also have a mental health course that we teach here, and we really try to promote mental health awareness as well as community expansion, and that's really important to me. So that's also why I chose to work here. I think my personal why is ever evolving, but I do think that myself and my coworkers all have the same mission in mind, and that is to serve children and families in crisis. I think if you can be that one safe adult in a child's life, or the person to comfort someone that's in extreme crisis, I mean, why wouldn't you want to be that person for someone?
So a lot of my earliest memories with Hand in Hand were actually before I even worked here. I've been living on or around Casino Road for the past 20 years. My earliest memories are probably 10 years ago. Hand in Hand really started becoming prominent on Casino Road. And what stood out to me about them then is that they were doing community. It wasn't an agency that was away from Casino Road. It was people who were on Casino Road and invested in Casino Road and wanted to hear what the community needed and not just what Hand in Hand thought was good for the community.
I am representing the Hispanic community well working here. I also get a lot of opportunities such as our back to school event that we just did. We do a Christmas extravaganza. We do a lot of things with other partners with those events. So that's really cool. I feel like there's always something new to do in the office that allows us to use our skills as outreach coordinators. Hand in Hand is a place that is for everyone. We welcome all families, no matter who you are, where you come from, what your family looks like. We want to do community with you.
Really, my why starts 7.5 years ago when I was first introduced to Hand in Hand. And that why was this beautiful moment of, you know, Growing up in foster care, now I'm graduating from high school, and for the first time, someone from Hand in Hand made me realize that, you know, my previous wounds and scars from living in foster care were actually beautiful, and I could actually use my strengths that I learned within the system to actually make someone's life better. I had never met someone who had exited foster care until I was an adult, and really my why is for anyone who comes to Hand in Hand, especially through Safe Place or through our outreach, if they've been involved with the child welfare system or foster care at all, I want them to be able to know that they are beautiful, that they're absolutely loved, and that they can put their mind to whatever they choose to do. So now you got to hear a little bit about us, a little bit about our background, a little bit why we choose to work for Hand in Hand and really be so invested in our community. And I would really love to know, and I think as well as everybody else, what's your why? You know, why do you choose to be a donor, or why do you choose to volunteer with Hand in Hand? Please, you can always tell us on social media. We would love to know. You can send us a Facebook message or an Instagram message, or really, you know, as you're sitting and you're watching this, maybe just look over to your neighbor and talk about your why, because I think that that's really where community starts, and that's really how we're going to make a difference.
Her story just gives me goosebumps. And feel free to drop your why in the chat so we can all see it. So as you can see, Hand in Hand, it's volunteers, it's staff, it's board members and donors. They're all committed to the vision of a community where children and families feel safe, which is so important, and supported. Hand in Hand is truly a grassroots organization operating through the generosity of the community. And there are so many ways to support the organization, which isn't always true for a lot of organizations. There's not really ways to plug in. So they make it such a way that you can come in many open doors to be able to volunteer, give back, or even, you know, support in a monetary donation. We're so grateful for the time you've given us today and hope that you feel moved to support Hand in Hand and the community that we work with. And part of supporting is spreading the word and, you know, sharing the vision, because the more we know what's available and out there, the more even other organizations can plug into each other. I love what you guys, Jordana and Chris, you said about handoff. Like, we may not have everything you need, but we'll help you find it. And that's why the collaboration is so good. And I saw in the chat a lot of people saying, you know, we really want to collaborate with you. So a link for donation is in the chat. It's also going to be emailed to you, and you can always go to handinhandkids.org, and it's just a wonderful website. You can see what's going on. So again, we're so grateful for our community. Thank you for so much for taking a little extra time to learn about Hand in Hand and see what's going on, and maybe even support and share the mission. The winners of the breakfast gift cards will be in the comments, so look for an email from Joy to collect your prize. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you again so much for coming.